Hey, it's Michael. Um, Coming to you with day two, which is I'm depressed. Now what? um, Oftentimes, when people are dealing with depression and things of that nature, we don't know exactly what to do when we first hear that this may be the case. I remember, talking to my sister 6 years ago. I'm like, I don't feel like this. I don't feel like that. I don't like this. I don't like that. She's like, you may be depressed. Cool. A year and a half later, I go to a therapist and I'll go to a psychiatrist, and I get the formal diagnosis from there. Granted, I wanted to point out and make the disclaimer: my sister's actually a therapist and a sex therapist. She's fabulous, and it's actually where I get a lot of my ideas from, for as far as this is concerned. But I had to go and get the help I needed from a professional who wasn't my sister. That way, it wasn't biased. She's super deluxe though, and so anywho, a lot of people when they're faced with having depression, especially when it's not like it's when you have major depression, not when you're depressed, we have major depression or bipolar induced depression. Um, you think something is wrong with you, and you think that you're weird or you're not worthy. There's a fear that comes over a lot of us, myself included, that people don't want to deal with you. Because I remember when I first found out I had depression or whatever, I felt like a leper, because a lot of time, usually leading up to it, people who are depressed, they're seen as negative or Debbie Downers. And you tell yourself, and I told myself, that nobody wants to be around that. Nobody wants to be around you when you're complaining about everything, or you're not happy, you're not excited. Because, again, it's something we'll discuss later in the series as well. People only want to focus on the positives. People only want to accentuate the positives. So when anything disrupts that for them, they're like, "Oh my God, you're negative. I want to be around that. And who wants that?" Ugh. And so you begin to take that on yourself. And also, a lot of people, well, also truthfully, people with depression, major depression, we also spend a lot of time feeling sorry for ourselves. We do. Well, that's what I did. I was like, "Oh my God, I'm depressed. How did this happen? Why me? Like, don't have enough going on in life. Why do I need to be depressed on top of that?" And those are natural reactions. Those are totally fine. That's your process. That's your process. I remember when I found out, my sister, I was telling my sister, I was explaining to her when I found out I had bipolar 2 and depression, all this stuff, whatever. And she's like, "Well, I'm just gonna let you know, it's gonna get worse before it gets better." Because honestly, what people don't tell us about depression, especially when you're diagnosed, if you go on meds like I did, things of that nature, you go to therapy, you have to dig through your past and dig through things that make you uncomfortable. And that's another thing about depression I meant to mention yesterday, that a lot of this is going to be uncomfortable for you, and it's definitely going to be uncomfortable for me. We're stepping out of our comfort zones here. And my sister always tells me, and I'm going to refer back to her a lot, so if you don't like me talking about my sister, then you have a problem. But she always told me, she's like, you have to get used to being in that uncomfortableness. You have to be in that space, because that's how you're going to push. And that's what it's gonna be like. I remember just like being uncomfortable, and I remember, I'd have to talk about things I never talked about before in the past. Abuse, you know, sex addiction, alcohol, borderline alcoholism, how I felt about my family, how I felt about friends, how things like being told people love me scare me, how telling people I love them scares me, how being emotionally open scared me. And so, like, when people tell me, "Oh, I have depression, I had depression, blah 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 blah, I'm gonna go on meds." Yes, that's great. The first thing when you find out you have depression or you think you have depression, go talk to somebody, go seek help, which is also going to be in another video. Absolutely, go seek help. But then what needs to happen is you need to make a choice. You can say either I'm going to be crippled by this and be debilitated by this, or I'm going to find an outlet, and we'll also cover outlets and also later in the series, what have you. But the choice ultimately is ours. Life is choices, and I know people hate hearing that, especially in a depressed state. 'Cause I hate hearing that. But when we're equipped with the right tools, we can make these choices for ourselves that much easier. We can choose ourselves that much easier. So the point of this video to me is discussing, yes, you have depression, and it's like, and now what? But and now what? You're still you. You're still great. You have a little problem, whatever. But now you need to find the tools for you to either get out of it or stay in it. If you staying in it and it requires a little bit more work, again, by all means, reach out to somebody, read literature, listen to music, do what you need to do to feel like somebody understands you. Because a lot of people that are depressed have a hard time having people understand them. So they feel, and they feel like they're so wrapped up in this whole this is uniquely the unique situation to me that nobody's going to get it. And like I said before, and I always say it again, we are not so unique in our problems where we can have somebody who's going to relate to us. And so always, find someone to talk to, journal something, empower yourself, take that power for yourself. So you're depressed, now what? You can either choose to be proactive or you can choose to be reactive. Those are the two choices you have. That's it. So I hope this video finds you well. I hope that it, you know, gave some kind of comfort or some kind of advice. It wasn't as long as the other one, but this is straight to the point. You're depressed. I did things stupid things when I was depressed. People do stupid things when they're depressed, and I'll cover that later as well. But the choices you have is to be proactive or reactive. If you choose to be proactive, we'll help you find tools. You choose to be reactive, it's going to take you a little bit longer, but eventually you'll want to get out of that space. And when you do, I promise you, yes, it's going to be bad. You have to deal with all these emotions and all this uncomfortableness, but in the end, it'll be worth it. I'm going through that phase where I have to get back to being uncomfortable, and it sucks, but I promise you that we will get through this, and I will see you tomorrow on day 3, which is my depression story. So, namaste.